Welcome! Today we're diving into the delicious world of homemade soft pretzels. There's nothing quite like the aroma of fresh pretzels baking in your kitchen. Whether you're planning a snack for game day, a fun family activity, or just craving that warm, chewy goodness, you're in the right place. So grab your ingredients and let's get started on this tasty journey together. Alright, so for our pretzels, we'll start with all-purpose flour, which is our base and gives the pretzels their structure. Then we have active dry yeast. This helps the dough rise and gives it that light, fluffy texture on the inside. Next, we're using warm water to activate the yeast, but make sure it's not too hot, just around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. We've got sugar, which helps feed the yeast and gives a slight sweetness to balance the flavor. Salt adds flavor to the dough, while butter makes it rich and tender. Now, for that signature pretzel chewiness, we'll dip them in a baking soda bath before baking. This creates that classic golden crust. And of course, don't forget the coarse sea salt on top for that finishing touch. Ready? Let's get started. Alright, first thing we're doing is making the dough. Start by dissolving a tablespoon of sugar in 1.5 cups of warm water. The water should be warm, around 110 degrees Fahrenheit, or just warm to the touch. Sprinkle a packet of active dry yeast on top and let it sit for about 5 minutes until it gets nice and frothy. While that's activating, grab a large bowl and mix 4 cups of flour with a teaspoon of salt. Now, once the yeast mixture is ready, pour it into the flour mixture, along with 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Stir everything until it forms a dough. Once it's combined, knead the dough on a floured surface for about 6 to 8 minutes until it's smooth and elastic. It should feel soft but not sticky. Place it in a greased bowl, cover it with a towel, and let it rise for about an hour until it doubles in size. Now that your dough has doubled in size, this is the perfect time to preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to shape the dough. Start by punching down the dough to release any air bubbles. Divide it into 8 equal pieces. Roll each piece into a rope about 20 to 22 inches long. If it feels tight or bounces back while you're rolling, just let it rest for a minute. Then keep going. Once you have your long rope, we're going to make the classic pretzel shape. Form a U with the rope. Twist the 2 ends together twice. Then fold them down to the bottom of the U. Press the ends down gently to secure them. Place the shaped pretzels onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. If you want to try some creative shapes, feel free. You can make sticks, twists, or even letters. Now, let's get ready for the next step, which is key to getting that chewy crust. Here's where the magic happens, the baking soda bath. Bring 9 cups of water to a boil in a large pot and add half a cup of baking soda. Be careful, it might bubble up quickly. This bath is essential for giving pretzels their signature chewy texture and dark golden color. Now, gently dip each pretzel into the boiling water for about 20 to 30 seconds. You don't want to soak them for too long, or they can end up tasting bitter. Use a slotted spoon to carefully lift them out, shake off the excess water, and place them back on the baking sheet. While they're still damp, sprinkle them generously with coarse sea salt. You can also get creative here. Use sesame seeds, poppy seeds, or even cinnamon sugar if you're making a sweet version. Alright, our pretzels are prepped and ready for the oven. Time to bake. Place the pretzels in your preheated oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Let them bake for 12 to 15 minutes until they're a deep golden brown. While they're in the oven, melt a couple more tablespoons of butter. Once the pretzels are done and out of the oven, immediately brush them with that melted butter for extra richness. This step really brings out that delicious fresh-baked flavor. If you're going for sweet pretzels, now's the time to sprinkle them with cinnamon sugar while the butter is still warm. Let the pretzels cool for a few minutes, just enough so they don't burn your mouth, and they're ready to enjoy. Serve them with your favorite dips like mustard, cheese sauce, or even a bit of honey if you made the sweet version. And that's it. You've got freshly baked soft pretzels. Lastly, here are some quick tips to keep in mind. When you're activating the yeast, make sure your water is warm but not hot. About 110 degrees Fahrenheit is perfect. Too hot can kill the yeast and ruin your dough. When kneading, don't be afraid to add a little extra flour if your dough is too sticky, but keep it minimal to maintain that perfect texture. Now, let's talk about the baking soda bath. It's a crucial step that gives pretzels that distinct chewy exterior. Don't skip it. Just remember to dip them for only 20 to 30 seconds. Also, feel free to get creative with toppings. Besides coarse sea salt, try adding sesame or poppy seeds, or even cinnamon sugar for a sweet treat. And if you have leftovers, reheat them in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for a few minutes to bring back that fresh baked flavor. Enjoy your homemade pretzels.